If you thought you knew what happened to Elin Nordegren after the Tiger Woods scandal, you might be surprised by the reality of where she is today. For years, the woman who married one of the world's most celebrated athletes and stood beside him during his meteoric rise seemed to vanish from public consciousness after their divorce. But the story of her disappearance from the limelight isn't a tale of someone broken by betrayal or destroyed by scandal. Instead, it's a remarkable narrative about resilience, transformation, and the quiet power of choosing yourself over fame. So before you think you understand her journey, take a moment to reconsider what you believe you know about Elin Nordegren in 2024. To truly understand who Elin Nordegren became after the scandal, we must first understand who she was before Tiger Woods entered her life. Born on January 1, 1980, in Stockholm, Sweden, Elin grew up in an environment vastly different from the glittering world of professional sports and celebrity culture. Her mother, Barbara Holberg, was a prominent politician who would eventually serve as Sweden's Minister for Migration and Asylum Policy. Her father, Thomas Nordegren, was a respected radio journalist and foreign correspondent whose career took him across the globe. This upbringing immersed Elin in a culture that valued intellectual discourse, political engagement, and social responsibility. From her earliest years, Elin was surrounded by people who debated ideas, challenged systems, and understood the importance of privacy in a world that was increasingly intrusive. The Swedish ethos of lagom, a concept describing just the right amount, avoiding excess, and maintaining balance, deeply shaped her worldview. Unlike many children who grew up dreaming of wealth and recognition, Elin was raised to value competence, integrity, and discretion. Her parents modeled a life where personal achievement mattered far more than public recognition. This foundation would later prove to be the most important inheritance she could have received, though neither she nor her family could have predicted how essential those values would become. As a teenager, Elin was not the type to seek attention or push herself into the spotlight. She worked part-time jobs, studied diligently, and occasionally modeled for Swedish magazines, but modeling was never presented as a glamorous career path. It was simply work, a way to earn money and support herself. She showed no signs of the ambition that drives most people towards celebrity or fame. Instead, she embodied the quiet confidence of someone comfortable with anonymity, someone who could walk through a room without needing to be noticed or validated by others. Elin's move to the United States was neither planned nor the result of grand ambitions. After finishing high school, she took a job at a clothing store in Stockholm, a position that seemed unremarkable at the time. However, it was in this ordinary retail environment that her life took an unexpected turn. While working at the store, she met Mia Parnevik, the wife of Swedish professional golfer Jasper Parnevik. Impressed by Elin's demeanor, reliability, and trustworthy nature, Mia offered her a position as a nanny for their children. Elin accepted, and by the early 2000s, she found herself living in Florida with the Parnevik family. What might have seemed like a simple career move proved to be a pivotal moment in her life. As the nanny for a prominent golfer's family, Elin was gradually introduced to the world of professional golf and the athletes who inhabited that sphere. She attended tournaments, socialized at golf events, and became familiar with the personalities who dominated the sport. In many ways, she was an outsider looking into a world of immense wealth, competition, and public attention. Yet she maintained her characteristic reserve, observing without seeking to be observed, present without demanding presence. It was at one of these golf events, in the early 2000s, that she encountered Tiger Woods. At that moment, Tiger was not just a successful athlete, he was a phenomenon. He had won multiple major tournaments, established himself as the most dominant player in professional golf, and was in the process of becoming a global brand worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Every major corporation wanted to partner with him. Every magazine wanted to feature him. He was transcendent in his sport, seemingly untouchable in his perfection. Multiple golfers and athletes took notice of Elin. She was beautiful, certainly, but there was something else, a quiet sophistication, an apparent immunity to the chaos of celebrity, a calmness that suggested depths beneath the surface. For someone accustomed to constant admiration and attention, Elin's relative indifference to status and recognition made her stand out. Tiger pursued her, but Elin was remarkably resistant. According to later interviews, she had deliberately insulated herself from the world of professional athletes and their entourages. She had no interest in being swept into the whirlwind of a celebrity relationship, no desire to surrender her anonymity for the sake of being associated with a famous name. It reportedly took months and considerable persistence before Ili agreed to a date with Tiger. When she finally accepted, she was acutely aware of what she was choosing. A relationship with one of the world's most famous athletes would mean the end of the anonymity she had guarded so carefully. Yet something in Tiger's determination, or perhaps her own willingness to take a chance, led her to say yes. What began as quiet dinners and private getaways soon became impossible to keep secret. By 2003, Tiger proposed during a tournament in South Africa, at the Shamwari Game Reserve, a location famous for its exclusivity and privacy. Their October 2004 wedding on the island of Barbados was a spectacle of wealth and security. Held at the Sandy Lane Resort, one of the world's most exclusive venues, the ceremony brought together celebrities, sports icons, and the financial elite. Dozens of security personnel guarded the property, preventing media access and protecting the couple's privacy on their special day. For Ili, the entire experience must have felt surreal. A woman who had spent her life valuing privacy was now at the center of one of the year's most publicized celebrity weddings. In the years that followed their marriage, Ili and Tiger established themselves in a sprawling mansion in Windermere, Florida. The estate featured advanced security systems, private docks, and all the amenities of extreme wealth. Yet Ili remained remarkably invisible despite being married to one of the world's most visible men. While Tiger appeared in commercials, won tournaments, and expanded his business empire, Ili chose to stay out of the public eye. She rarely gave interviews, made few public appearances, and seemed content to focus on family life. When their daughter Sam Alexis was born in 2007, Ili stepped into motherhood with the same quiet dedication she brought to everything else. 3 years later, their son Charlie was born. From the outside, Ili and Tiger appeared to have achieved what many considered an impossible balance. Here was a living sports legend at the absolute peak of his profession, married to a woman who seemed unbothered by fame, raising 2 beautiful children, and managing a life that was both extraordinarily public and carefully guarded. They vacationed in exclusive locations, attended select events, and managed their public image with careful precision. Photographs of the family showed a loving father, a devoted mother, and children who appeared happy and well-adjusted. Yet behind the carefully maintained facade, there were signs of strain. Those close to the golf world began to notice subtle changes in Tiger's behavior. There were whispers about inconsistent schedules, vague explanations for solo trips, and a growing emotional distance between husband and wife. Ili, in particular, seemed to struggle with the pressure that came from being married to a global icon. She missed the simplicity of her earlier life, the ability to shop without being photographed, to walk without being recognized, to have conversations without worrying about cameras. Life as the wife of Tiger Woods meant that every mundane moment could potentially become a tabloid headline. Reports from people close to the couple suggested that Ili felt the weight of Tiger's fame and the corresponding loss of privacy. She had sacrificed her anonymity, the thing she valued most, for a marriage that increasingly felt like a performance. Additionally, there were physical and emotional strains that took a toll on Tiger himself. Multiple knee surgeries, chronic pain, and dependence on medication created a man who was struggling beneath the surface despite his external success. Some sources suggested he suffered from chronic insomnia, depression, and the kind of exhaustion that comes from maintaining an impossible standard of perfection. In the early morning hours of November 27, 2009, Tiger Woods crashed his Cadillac Escalade into a fire hydrant and tree just feet from his driveway in Windermere. The incident, initially reported as a minor accident, quickly spiraled into something far more significant. According to reports, Ili had discovered suspicious text messages on Tiger's phone indicating infidelity. What followed was a heated confrontation between husband and wife, and in the chaos that ensued, Ili allegedly grabbed a golf club and struck the vehicle's rear window as Tiger attempted to drive away. When neighbors heard the crash and came outside, they found Tiger unconscious on the pavement and Ili standing nearby. Emergency responders transported him to a hospital, and the official police statement was deliberately vague, avoiding any mention of domestic conflict. However, within days, the tabloid media began investigating the incident more thoroughly, and what they uncovered would become one of the biggest scandals in sports history. One by one, women came forward, waitresses, nightclub workers, and women from various cities, all claiming to have had affairs with Tiger during his marriage. Some provided voicemails and text messages as evidence. Others sold their stories to media outlets. The scandal was relentless and all-consuming. Tiger lost major sponsorships. Accenture, Gillette, and Gatorade all distanced themselves from him. His world ranking plummeted. His reputation, carefully constructed over decades, crumbled in a matter of days. Throughout it all, Elin maintained absolute silence. She did not give interviews, did not make angry statements, and did not attempt to use the scandal to gain sympathy or attention. This silence was perhaps more powerful than any words she could have spoken. In August 2010, Elin filed for divorce. The announcement came not through dramatic court proceedings or leaked legal documents, but through a simple joint statement released by their attorneys. The marriage was officially over. A custody agreement for Sam and Charlie was finalized. The tone was businesslike, professional, and notably free of the drama that typically accompanies high-profile divorces. The settlement, estimated at around $100 million, made it one of the most expensive celebrity divorces in history, yet Elin never used this as a platform to discuss her suffering or justify her position. During the months following the divorce announcement, photographers camped outside Elin's home. They followed her to the gym, to the grocery store, to her children's schools. The paparazzi treated her every movement as material for headlines and speculation. Yet she never gave them what they wanted. She didn't appear on television talking about her pain. She didn't wear a revenge dress to an awards show. She didn't leak anonymous quotes to journalists or use social media to control her narrative. Instead, she focused entirely on protecting her children from the chaos and salvaging what remained of her private life. Eventually, Elin broke her silence in a single interview with People magazine. In that conversation, she revealed that she had been completely blindsided by the revelations of infidelity. She had not suspected anything during their marriage. The word betrayal, she explained, wasn't strong enough to describe what she felt. She had trusted her husband, believed in their family, and assumed the foundation they built was real. Learning the truth felt like discovering that the life she thought she was living had never actually existed. It was a moment of profound betrayal not just by Tiger, but by everyone around her who had known and said nothing. What happened next surprised both the media and the public. Rather than fading away or reinventing herself as a celebrity, Elin made a decision that reflected her true character. She enrolled at Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida, as a full-time student. While other high-profile ex-wives were launching clothing lines or joining reality television, Elin was sitting in classrooms with students who barely knew who she was, studying psychology with remarkable dedication. This was not a celebrity dabbling in academics or a public relations stunt. This was a serious commitment to education and personal growth. Elin attended classes regularly, completed all assignments, and engaged with the material as someone genuinely interested in understanding the human mind and human behavior. She chose psychology as her major, a field that allowed her to process her own trauma while building knowledge that could help others. In 2014, Elin graduated with a 3.96 GPA, finishing at the top of her class. She received the prestigious Outstanding Senior Award, a recognition given not just for academic excellence but for character and contribution to the college community. At her graduation ceremony, she gave a short speech about resilience, gratitude, and the transformative power of education. That moment represented something profound. A woman who had been defined by her association with a famous man was now defining herself through her own intellectual achievement. Simultaneously with her academic pursuits, Elin was quietly building wealth through real estate ventures. In 2011, she purchased a $12 million oceanfront mansion in North Palm Beach, Florida. Rather than simply moving into the property, she had it completely demolished and rebuilt from the ground up. Over the following years, she oversaw the design and construction of a sprawling, elegant home that blended Swedish minimalist design principles with coastal luxury aesthetics. By 2020, Elin sold this mansion for $28.6 million, more than double what she paid. This represented one of the most significant residential real estate transactions in Palm Beach County that year. What made this achievement remarkable wasn't just the profit, but the way she accomplished it. She worked quietly, strategically, and entirely outside the public eye. While other celebrities were monetising their personal brands through Instagram partnerships and influencer deals,